Alexa, did you enter me earlier? Yeah, you did. Are
So,
we live?
yes. And I'm just gonna fix this. And, okay. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we're going to be talking about Westworld Season 3, Episode 4, The Mother of Exiles. And joining me today is the crew that we had basically on Sunday. So, Justin, how you doing today, my friend?
I invested in a new computer, and everything about it is supposed to be better, but I might have got swindled here because everything is not better camera wise. But yeah, if I keep going out of focus, I don't know. Sorry, and hopefully the mic sounds good. But yeah, a work in process. I get quite a few today, so happy to be here though, and yeah, can't wait to talk about the Mother of Exiles. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And I don't know where Johnny is, but he should be here soon.
It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, this is a really good episode, and I'm Lancelot from House of the Conqueror, and that's about all there is to say about that. I thought it was a really good episode. I'm kind of liking the season so far, but I think Sasuke hates it, and AU hates it. No, but some people have some issues with this season, and yeah, I want to figure out why.
Yeah. It would be.
Maybe it was how Emily screamed.
Maybe that.
He was taunting him too. Like I honestly do. Like I was noticing that on my rewatch. How she's like, "What are you gonna shoot me again?" Like she was like taunting him. There's like an antagonistic, I don't know, like almost like childish, like haha, and then a poo poo, like you shot me, like you know, like something along those lines. Whatever the kids are saying these days, but she was like goading him. I mean, it was. I think that there was definitely a great performance out of Kaci. She gave me a like. I told her I sucked ass. I was like, hey, award. It really is. It was a nice cameo, and it was. And I put award-winning performance. To get my vanity in check, and get my ego going. And she liked it on Twitter. I was like, yes, I'm a sucky. So.
Yes, the Emily is back. But before we talk about Crazy Emily, or the sequence with Emily, shout out to the chat who've been here with us. So we have Peter Griffin, Nancy T, the Mother of Blankets, as well as Shade of the Evening was here earlier, Danny McKay, Steel 510 Rain, and let's see, Sasuke, who doesn't like this episode. I'll want more information on that, why you don't like this episode, as well as AU, who was on with us last week and will be on with Justin on Sunday. So
Yes, he will.
yes.
I saved the date. So yeah, that's interesting though. I mean, like, how dare you not like something that I did enjoy? Yeah, I really enjoyed it as an episode. I like where they're going. I'm working on a kind of a theory video right now that's kind of talking about how Dolores is, of course she's the Mother of Exiles, but she's kind of like, taking the bicameral mind, and she's her voice and all, they're all significantly like diverging already, especially Charlotte, and I'll let you walk us down on that slow stroll through the episode. But yeah, I'm excited about the direction it's going, because they're not losing like what I was worried about them losing by having it be just some rando. And yes, Clementine, the character, I mean, it really didn't mean a lot, but I really didn't like the Wyatt prediction of mine, because like I said, like, Wyatt is just as much of a part of Dolores as Dolores is. So like, it really is like, I mean, I could see people having an issue with it, but I actually think in narrative sense and just entertainment sense, thematic, I think it works on all levels. It plays into the psychology and in the philosophy as well of the show. So excited.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Oh, Johnny, do you want to say something?
Oh no, what? You giving me permission? Thank you. I appreciate you letting me talk. Yeah, I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. And sure, selfishness in me wanted it to be Wyatt, but I'm cool with this for sure. It doesn't mean other characters can never come back or anything like that. It just makes the most sense that Dolores can only trust herself, but can she? We've been talking about this a little bit.
That was actually a question.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say that's kind of a part of a question that I have, but we can
Oh.
expand upon that.
Well, we'll let you do your thing.
So,
Lead us,
the overall
Mother of Exiles.
yes, the mother. The overall consensus before I go into this, the overall consensus of the chat is that they like it, minus a few people. My personal opinion on the episode was it's probably one of the best they've ever done. Like, for this season, it's probably the best episode they've had this season, because we pretty much touched on everybody's storyline this episode. I don't think we missed out on a big someone's storyline, because every other episode has had at least one person's
It's been bottlenecked.
storyline get kicked off. So it's nice to have everybody on the cast again. I think it's a good one. And some of the stuff about the Dolores, we'll get to it because it's gonna be interesting. But first,
I did want to just add on to, and I'm so sorry I'm going to interrupt. Just because first, it's what Johnny was saying is it's not like the other. I think this makes it more, it's more capable for these characters to come back now, in my opinion, than if you would have brought them back through these other hosts. So you can actually bring back Clementine, meaning the actress. You can actually bring back, Angela possibly. So like I think this. It works narratively and it works thematically, like I said. And what's up, everybody in the chat? And how dare you miss the stream on Sunday, Sasuke? How dare you? So
it's a good one. You should go drop by and check that off. Check it out because it's a good one. Not just saying because I'm there, and these two people are there as well. But it's good.
No, it's fantastic. I dropped almost. I wasn't there almost the whole stream because of my internet, and that made it such a better show. For real though. No, it was a really good show. I had my redneck internet acted up, but Mackenzie brought it. The whole panel brought it, and I brought bad internet.
I thought I saw a question from Steel 510 Rain. Thank you for your recent support to support creativity. Just became a Patreon. I'm very happy to have you, and I'm going to be trying to overhaul that. But did somebody have a question in the chat about what they're doing with it? I saw it, and then it's gone. Somebody did have a question about bodies. But go ahead, Mackenzie. I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to try to find this. Try to be the behavioral tech for this.
Or something about, is it about prison bodies? Anyway, I don't know. Repeat the question if you want in the chat.
Yeah.
So we have the first kind of question is Man in Black is alone in his home and is confronted by seemingly the ghost of Emily, who tells him it is okay to end the game. Then a light flashes. It almost seems like in Journey into Night when they changed it with Teddy and Dolores' scene into Journey into Night. Then we see Charlotte standing there. We know that the Men in Black has been missing on sabbatical, but will we ever truly find out what happened in those 3 months since the season 2 finale? Or was this cold open our only catch up with him? Plus, is Emily really in his head, or she is a host, one that Dolores/Hale has made?
I can First off, I think that, I think there's no doubt that we're going to get more of him because this was his call to action. Now, if Emily is in his head or exists, I think that, he is dealing with his hubris, that led him to try to, create immortality. He's dealing with how he walked that thin line, that razor's edge, and tried to blur the lines between, reality and the real world and the virtual world with the, development of the cradle and the forge and so forth. He's, he is becoming a victim of his own technology and, like I said, his hubris. So I think that, whether or not Emily is there to host this moment or that's in his head, honestly, I think that we as viewers are supposed to question it just as much as the Man in Black, and I honestly don't even think we need an answer to it, personally, just because it's on that edge of the razor there, and when you're playing God and you're messing with blurring the lines of reality throughout your whole life, and then it led him to shoot his daughter. Now he's being haunted by the memory of her, and is somebody putting him to like some type of psychological torture? I guess that's really the question, right? It's like, is this somebody's game, try to extract information from him and so forth. It's Westworld, so I would bet yeah, but like there's like that psychological side of it. This is something very real. Trust me, if you shot your daughter, you'd probably be dealing with some real shit. And that would probably say something about you. It'd make you worse if you didn't deal with some shit. Not you could probably ever redeem yourself really if you did that, but there's still hope for you daughter killers out there.
Halloris has been listening to him the whole time as well. I think that drug genre that we got introduced to in this episode is going to play a role in whatever's been going on with the Man in Black. But just in general, it's basically on a sabbatical, right?
Yeah.
It's just been trying to get over what the hell happened and heal. He had 2 or 3 fingers blown off, so he has mental and physical scars from this. And he finally got a taste of reality, but it's so convoluted at this point that he still doesn't know what's real and what's not. The one thing that he's sure about is that he made the choice to kill his daughter because he thought she was a host. And I think the exaggerated ghosts that he's seeing could be exacerbated by this drug, because it talks about how you can, I forgot what the quote he said, but like you can go through eras on this. It's like going through different, I interpret it as you can go through your past and whatnot. In different moments you'll see it. Because remember when that girl was tripping and she saw the dead girl? She didn't think anything out of it because she thought she was tripping, seeing someone from her past. And I think it could be that simple. That's why we see later in the episode that we have the farmer's daughter telling him this is the end of the game. But is it really? I think we're still going to have to see a process of him becoming a host, and maybe even he'll meet his host self at some point. That would be a certain kind of hell. That's probably the last thing he ever would want to see, because he did come to the conclusion he wanted to stop the Immortality Project in the end.
Yeah.
It also there's I used to know the exact decompression time because a lot of theories were going around in season 1 about the Mesa Gold. The Mesa Gold is decompression is what they call it. So after a certain amount of time in Westworld, and there's a limit, I forget what it is, but I know the Men in Black exceeded it. You have to go, and a lot of this is where a lot of the theories came to. Like it was like in another galaxy, it was underwater, it was Atlantis, it was whatever. Every crazy theory out there is because it was deep. It's a psychological decompression, in my opinion. There's no reason for you to have to go through any type of you're not going to get the whatever you get when you rise too high up in water and stuff like that too quickly. I don't think that you're
chamber or something like that.
Yeah, but it's meant to be there for psychological reasons to go back into reality. Is how they, I think, explained it on the how they have the fake website at Delos.com. So what I think is also meant to also extract more information and process it when they're still there. Get what I mean? So I think that's where you're at right now, and I think that's definitely something to play. But I think that a lot of this too is in his own head just by the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, I kind of take offense with AU here too. He just says, "I just want him to suffer," and maybe that's true. Atone for his sins here.
Well, AU's a father, so you know what I mean. Like I said, I guess I'll bury the daughter killing demographic on my channel. Damn it, that better not be a large percentage of you people. But yeah, I'm not saying that redemption is never possible, but you know what I mean. If you weren't dealing with some shit after you accidentally shot your kid, out of some fucking fever dreamed haze that you were in because you got yourself so caught up with Ford and this park and immortality and all up in your just making a whole lot of bad decisions, you're likely gonna have a pretty rough go at it from there. And AU is a father, so I definitely get his opinion there. He's not gonna be rooting for I don't it's not really a redeemable. It's definitely not an acceptable act. I'm not gonna say it's irredeemable, but it's not one of the big acceptable.
I don't.
Yeah.
I want him to have a redemption arc. Can he redeem himself fully? No, but I still want him to be able to give it a shot. I don't really want him to suffer.
There's redemption within
the sins that he's done. Once he realizes
redemption within the story Yeah, like, does he redeem himself to the world within our story, or does he redeem himself to the viewer? So, like, Darth Vader only redeems himself to the viewers, not the world. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So I think that I want to see that arc as well. But he's got some thinking and some drinking to do. He's probably never going to be happy, but he at least do some good.
Yeah, because the Man in Black is just, he's been on the sabbatical. He's not having to have to deal with what happened at the end of this, or he did, but not having to, at least from the business side of things, deal with the fact of what happened, the data leakage, the mole that is Charlotte Hale, or was Charlotte Hale, the fact that some of the property has been stolen, basically, and all of that, and Charlotte kind of was like, like, you just gotta get ready for the day and, like, clean yourself up, and we have to present yourself in front of the board so then they can help us go private and all of these other things. And at the same time, he's seeing visions of Dolores and seeing as well Emily, and the fact of also going through that process of seeing the blood drip from the ceiling, and then immediately, like, the ceiling breaks and then he ends up in the bathtub where Juliet died as well, and all of that. And I feel like, I don't know if we're gonna get more of him, like, struggling, unless it's like a therapeutic session of him and a therapist having conversations of what should you do after, like, all of this stuff had happened. It would be interesting to see how he would be like, immediately, like, before Charlotte showed up, minus, like, what we got from the episode, what he was dealing with.
You make a good point, because he could potentially show that he's getting better and get out of there. We don't know what the parameters of how long he's going to stay. We just know that he's basically, because of this, going to lose his share of the company due to mental instability. But if he's there, he does go through some treatment, which that would be tragic to see some of that. But he pulls it together enough to get out of there. That would be interesting.
Well,
whether or not any of the Doloreses would let him get out of there, I don't know though.
Well, he's gonna submit to a drip because that's in the promos, so that could be one of his things about getting out of the, I guess, facility, is because I guess he's avoided the drips for so long. It's like, well, you gotta come here. Or it could be a thing where there's the real sort of business merger of William ends up working with Insight. If he's like, well, I can't work with Delos anymore, like, I've been bought out, or, like, been incompetent with my shares, and might as well just go with Insight, maybe.
What about that close relationship between them two as well?
Exactly. Like, they have to build upon that relationship that was developed over the last 20 years. And I do kind of wonder what they were talking about with, or, like, if the Dolores, or when Hale is saying about Emily and have you talked to Emily and all of this stuff, if there's a chance of her showing up again, like, in a physical form, because actors are usually around for 2 seasons, or mostly in this show. If they're hired for 1 season, they're usually on for 2. So she could be back, and more than just, hi, Dad, like those types of scenes. Yeah, because that'd be a mess to play with his head like that. It's like, oh, your host, the daughter that you thought was a host and you killed, who died, comes back and she's actually a host. It's like, you were not right, but now you're right again.
Is my mic any better, guys, in the chat? I think that what we're dealing with here is a mix of, like what we're talking about. Yeah, I just downloaded something. So, okay. So, really, I don't want to stick on this, but it speaks truth to, like, how the viewers are going to want to, are going to consume this story, and they're good writers. So they know people feel like AU. That's a, like, very common feeling that you don't. So, like, seeing the Man in Black forgive himself is not something that you're not going to want him to see, like, go through a whole montage of, like, I want to know what I paid my, dues, and I'm gonna jump back in and either do anything with insight. Like, he now has to redeem himself, like externally. His internal redemption is probably not likely, and viewers really don't want to see a guy that shot his daughter, high-fiving all the way around him, having a grand time. It's just not, it doesn't play well. So with insight, we have to wonder who's actually holding him within this facility. By all means, we know that Serac seems to have complete control, right? Right now. So, like, is he being held in there by Serac, or is he in there and he's not leaving because he's about being claimed negligent, his inability to function within the board, mental instability, stuff like that. Like, is this like, because we also have Charlotte, which is Dolores, and they're working with him. So if it's a little bit of a paradox here, and I'm not clear, and I have to do a rewatch, but is it explicitly stated who exactly is controlling or stopping him from leaving?
I'm assuming
he does leave.
Well, for which one? Like, leaves the facility?
Yes, when he leaves it at the end.
He's probably going. It's probably gonna be Serac bailing him out, because that's probably, like, they're gonna have some sort of business deal, because he says, I'm gonna save the effing world or whatever. So it's gonna be a thing of, like, there's probably gonna be somewhat of a conversation between the two of them, and Dolores is kind of her, not her, or once her Achilles heel was William, but now it's not. So it'll be like a thing of, like, because we could see technically Maeve fail, although everybody, Team Maeve is gonna yell at me. We could technically see Maeve fail at taking down Dolores, and the only person after her that can take Dolores down is maybe William. It may not be in a one-on-one battle, but it may be like a situation of the only other person minus Maeve is William.
Well, okay. If Maeve turns, Bernard's got the button. That button is going to be used to cancel out Serac's button, in my opinion, at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Chekhov's button. But I think we're getting
frozen or whatever. But you're talking about why he couldn't leave the actual house for 3 months, right?
Oh.
Yeah. Like, who was actually holding him in? And we're getting a little speculative here, and
I would say that's probably was based off of how they did the contrast of the lighting when he's about to, like, shoot Charlotte Hale or whatever, and like, there's, like, they make the sound of dunsh of, like, a light, like a studio light turning on.
Yeah.
It seems like it was probably just Charlotte just kept him there, because also too, why not being a prison of your own making, because it is the house that he shared with Juliet. He goes to the same, like, he goes through the experience of being in the same room where Juliet died and all the stuff, and then he has memories of Emily.
He's wallowing in it on purpose, I think, too.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't believe he's
over to hell.
I think that we should probably, because I think that, and this is partly due to my tech issues, I think that it's very clear that he is the key to board control, which is against what Serac would want. Serac wants the information, the key, from Dolores, okay? There's a pretty good chance he's aware that Charlotte Hale is no longer Charlotte Hale. I'm pretty sure they're in a facility that Serac has surveillance of. Again, it's kind of hard because he's supposed to be all-knowing, so it's like, when do we allow him not to know something? I find it hard to believe, with his ability, his almost omniscient, presence, that it's like, how is he not aware of this? So, like, he's almost, letting them go for a little bit. But Dolores is trying to go ahead and shut down. This is what I'm posing to you guys. Or is she just trying to take control of it? In my opinion, she's going to end up taking control of it, because there's a little bit of foreshadowing here for that. This doesn't necessarily need to be, like, evil technology, right? Like, is this an inherently evil system? Is this flawed morally and ethically from its very foundation? like technologically, by like, you know, is it an ethical process? Is it like a man where, you know, Morgan Freeman says like, I'm gonna quit if you don't, I can't do his voice, I think Johnny can, you know, like if you don't shut down this you know, surveillance, something like this. What's your guys' opinion on that? Dolores is selling Caleb, and she's selling us on she needs to stop Rehoboam, but it doesn't really seem like with her behavior, you know, making a whole bunch of other Doloreses, having a whole lot of you know, agency over others, you know, situations and circumstance, and really just, you know, running roughshod over everything. You think that she's just going to take that and burn it to the ground? It seems like it'd be advantageous, and I do think it could be used for good.
Well, she would need to somehow get Serac to not have control or access to it anymore. It's still a threat to her while it's up. So it would be one of those issues where if she can have it without having to burn it to the ground, I think she'll definitely go for that because she's using it. But also, she can use the I want to shut it down for the human revolution, because that's what they're going to want. They don't want, you know, Amazon up in their lives.
Yeah.
But
You hear that, Alexa? Okay.
okay, she made one human friend. Other one, Liam. Well, no, she already stabbed me today in a the singularity. Ways like, okay, so Dolores has made one human friend, and it's his pitch that she will save him, and she just did it essentially by, you know, stay truth, saying that they're not, you know, investing in you because they think you're going to fail, but you fail because they don't invest in you. It's a strong commentary on our, you know, our world in which we live in, but also, you know, the only answer that she for him was money as well. So, you know, pretty surface value stuff there. So is she really going to like crash this system just for Caleb? Like, she could use this in an ethical way. And also Liam, like, what is bad about Liam, right? Like, he's kind of a schmuck. He's very like James Gallagher, and he's a very likable actor. I think that, you know, they're leaning towards we aren't going to want to see what happens to him. You know, Dolores is she's already crossing a line. I mean, what behavioral traits does he has? Do you guys think that is unethical or anything? I've seen nothing.
Well, from his
log in the park.
we could say you saw nothing before William made it to the park and figured out who he was. Feel like Liam has been to the park. He's a high-level gunslinger, and he is a black hat.
17.
What does that entail, though? You know, does that mean he went as bad as the Man in Black? I think he has a dark side, but I don't, like you're saying, just I don't know if we're gonna even get a chance to really see it, right?
No.
It's kind of gonna seemingly be left ambiguous, because the only time you see this about his status in the park is when Bernard's looking at the screen on the beach with Stubbs, and it's just a glancing shot. So it's not as if, I mean, maybe this is some sort of justification for Dolores, right? That she knows every deep, dark secret he's ever done, but Dolores, by comparison, has far more sins than any normal person at this point.
And he has an
depending on how you look at it, but yeah.
With his friends, if you compare and contrast there, like, I mean, he is the good guy. They have taken the extra steps, they went the extra mile to make sure that he is by all means characterized as likable, other than that little detail. Like, his friends, he is acting just like, yes, William did at first in the park, and there's a lot of parallel storytelling going there. But I'm saying, ethically, you know, and you know how I stand on if you hurt things that can feel pain, it's not okay, especially, you know, like, whether or not you agree with how they obtain the ability to have a sensorium or feel pain, it doesn't matter. If you feel pain, and you know people feel pain, and then you hurt whatever it is, they can feel pain, that's, you know, unethical, it's immoral, it's a lack of humanity. So, like, I don't agree with that, but again, he seemed to be in the real world, by all intents and purposes, a pretty decent guy, especially, and they're going to the extra length, you know what I'm saying, within the story to really hammer that in. Like, it's really shoved down your throat. It suck.
It seems like they're going to present this.
He was ready to get a hooker, though, really fast. Oh, maybe that's a character trait.
Willing to give the money to charity. I think that we're being presented with, Liam's not a bad person, or like not too bad in contrast to MIB. But there's going to be something probably if we get host Liam, through the process of making his pearl or whatever, that more information about him will come out, because Dolores has read his book, so she's probably going to need to not recite it for the whole audience, but like bring out the bullet points of what he actually did and how bad of a person he really is.
Because that time you jerked off Logan at the park.
But also too, it's like she read the book and she found out who he was, and he's essential to the process. This isn't some guy that she seeked out and somebody put it perfectly. Jake put it in the chat. Good guy's often the mark. He is being played out. The optics and story. It's like a compression chamber of like human behavior. Like it's you are only as bad as the worst person in that story. You know what I mean? Like the way we consume story. It's like like I bring it up all the time. Like codes, characters that kill all the time, but they live by a code. Pesci in Casino eats waffles with his kid every morning. So that's how you let base whether or not you feel like he's a moral person or not when he's like putting somebody's head in a vice. So it's like I think that they're really hammering down with douchey friends. Of course, the justification of unethical behavior for like a greater good. With the hooking for kids for charity, hooking for it's like toys for tots. Somebody do a play off that. We did have a good question in the chat as well.
Well, let me really quick. This goes back to what you were saying about whether she wants to burn Rehoboam to the ground or not. I'm under the impression, but I can't say for sure, that if Serac goes down or gets taken out from his position as head of the company, I believe Liam will inherit that power, but I could be wrong. Depends how their board works, but it seems like he's the second in command, even though, as far as a figurehead, at least, that's the only thing I can think. But if we go back to when Dolores was asking him how it works, I don't know if she knew. Maybe she did think he knew how it works, and this threw a wrench in the plan.
Maybe.
They're gonna take all his money, and then we're assuming, based off Bernard and what they were doing, that they're gonna replace him as a host. But yeah, Dolores has seen his social standing. It's good, right? Now it looks bad because he couldn't even pay for a hooker, so that already fucks with his social standing with all those friends in the room, for one. And two, like what would replacing him do? He's already said he doesn't really have the power at Insight. You know what I mean? He doesn't have much input.
I think that there's misinformation. I think that there's a good chance, because of the fact in which Mackenzie brilliantly brought up in our after show about how they just assumed that he was a host, and when I did my rewatches, because of what they found from the data within the park, so that they just came to the conclusion, they put the causality into play, and this is the next move. They tried the ray of bone without ray of bone, but I think that gives a little bit of credence to that's not correct information. So it's also likely that maybe he's not a level blah blah blah. Maybe he didn't do all that in the park, and that's not really all that necessary to have happened or to have not have happened. I think that we can accept in this story that is a societal norm, a cultural norm. Doesn't mean it's okay to us morally, but we see that we could have an empathetic approach to that. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But it doesn't add up to me. He is necessary because he's not being targeted because he's a necessary evil. He's being targeted because he's an advantageous
right
to
why would you drain his bank account if you were going to make him a host? Why would you drain his bank account?
Do you have control?
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot of Hardy Boys detective going on with Nard and Stubbs. It ain't working out. But there was that great question about Dolores in the chat.
Clarissa Thompson, yes.
But before we get to that, I just wanted to say, with the whole, in regards to the Liam situation, we'll talk about that in a second. Like, more of the detail about Bernard and Stubbs and their adventures in America. But Clarissa Thompson, who joined us a little bit for last week, says, how many will the Dolores copies stay loyal to Dolores proper, or OG Dolores? Is like I think the only the Connells will be like the one that stays pretty close to Dolores, especially if Liam is still continued into this like stuck in this avenue because she needs her, not that she can't do it herself, but to have the gunslinging, like bodyguard type fixer personality. She kind of just needs that, unless that role is taken up by Caleb, which could happen because we haven't seen Caleb really use a gun and his Rico skills to its fullest extent yet. So yeah. Unless
it's been classified that he's capable, but I don't think we'd see him as a glorified bodyguard.
But yeah, it's like that thing of like, will that role in some sense be then taken over by Caleb is yet to be seen. I don't know. But I think at least one of them will stay loyal. I don't think Hale will do so, because it's almost like that they'll all have their own personalities. Like they'll still have some innate connection to Dolores, but they'll all be on their own different paths that she maybe sends them on, or they just develop by themselves. That's the thing, is like, does she still have control of them even though they're parts of her that aren't even parts of her? Is it like, do they get to evolve into their own person? Especially with Hale. Like, does she kind of, do they each get their own creative freedom with their own versions of themselves?
The difference between Hector and Musashi, they're the same, but different narratives. No.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so after the, I've been to talk about this. This is what I've been really fascinated with in the video that I'm working on. So thank you, Clarissa, because this is like the one thing that I'm pumped about. Okay, so like after, and I put this out on Twitter to multiple creators in the fandom, like because, okay, so these 3 pearls were replicated. So up to the point of replication, now Vanessa Cole had a nice take on this because it is possible that these pearls, to first start at the beginning, do the pearls contain all the information up to the point of replication? Meaning, do they have all the same memories? Like, think about it. If you're cloning yourself, up until the point of cloning to the actual clone, then you would share all the memories until that point, and then you would wake up believing you are that person, not adverse to any other idea, beliefs, motivations. They should all be static up until then. And then you have variables, divergences within, interaction and exposure. So then you start to see them divert and start to become something different. It's got a lot of different commentaries on it. But Hale, in my opinion, it's very odd that and there's always that fair chance that this just is kind of like a slip up in the writing and they wanted to add some drama, and I hope that's not what it is, and they wanted a tender, sentimental scene between those two. But what I'm getting at is Hale right away was like, had to be sold on what is essentially, guys, her own idea. That is Dolores. Mm-hmm. So Vanessa Cole had the best, just like devil's advocate approach to this, which it's possible that these pearls weren't, they're like backups, something like that. So they didn't contain all the information. But, you don't have that information. So like,
the forward backups or the cradle backups.
We until we're given a reason to be that it's explicitly stated that they aren't up to date, which I feel is something that you need to put into the narrative. Other than, you don't need to state that they're not up to date. Get what I mean? Like, if they are what I'm proposing they are, you don't have to state, oh yeah, by the way, these are all up to date. That's a weird thing to do. But if they're not, you should have a mention that, okay, these pearls, so you can explain what's happening, because it's odd. If you clone, like if you decide to just put on a different shirt, it's your decision. You put on the shirt and then you don't have to like have it explain to you why you did it. So I get that the emotional distress in the divergence is going to be greatest in the Lorei that is Hale, because of her situation. She is in a new narrative and it has a human connection with a child. It is the most emotionally volatile. It is the most likely to change somebody from their fundamental emotional spine, because what you see is a military position take up with college, right? So that is more of a position where you follow orders and you can just go in there. And I'm not saying it's easy, and they're definitely going to diverge as well, but it is more of a, like, all my buddies in the military, and a lot of it is for the good, like they tend to be the type of people that love that type of structure, and that's that's a great quality, you know what I mean? But they like that. They got something to do every single day. They're always with a crew. It's thank God for that. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, it doesn't it is a system in which just keeps people definitely more static. You're not gonna be as up and down as somebody that's in a, like, you know, kind of a rocky relationship, to say the least. You know, got a kid that wasn't your kid that you know had to learn to at least not have die. So it's very interesting that we see this divergence. Also, it's an interesting aspect because, and then I'll shut it up because, you know, it is, her voice is in their head, right? They all are going to diverge from the main Dolores, which is kind of going to become, we all thought Anthony Hopkins is the god. I argue it's Dolores. She first generation. It's like, you know, you have the Titans. Then you know what I mean? Like you have your god, your second, your third generations, you know, of gods. And I think these are the Titans. You know, like these are the second generation of gods that are coming about, and now they will always have that sense of Dolores in them, and it will always be there. But it's kind of a commentary too on how finite we think like our person is. You know, we think like we're very hard. Everybody says that they can't change unless your girlfriend catches you cheating. Then I say I can change, babe. I can change. You know what I mean? But yeah, they act like it's, if you tell your buddy that you haven't seen in like 7 years, bro, you've changed. Like how they act like not only did they not, but it's like actually emotionally, physically, like it's not even like psychologically a possible thing, like that they could be different. But if it's advantageous for you to claim that change, then it's possible. But we are not as solid at the core, and that's all I'll say. And I think this is a great narrative on that piece.
One thing you made me think of when you said the Titans, Dolores is Kronos. Will she devour her own children? Or try to. We see an example of this.
That's a video.
Back to my other. Hold on. We go back. I didn't. Hey, I don't. I'm just drawing conclusions from what you're telling me here.
I know that. Well, that's good. Though.
We go back to when Hell was having the problems. First off, you woke up. We know Dolores hates narrative and always wants to break it. One example is with Billy in season 1 when she decides not to be the damsel anymore. Now, here, you wake up, you're told what to do. You already don't like this situation, but when you start to freak out, Dolores pulls out a gun and basically threatens to kill you if you can't get right. You know what I mean? Just can't get right. And this right here, Dolores should know not to do this to herself. She knows. Like this, it's within Dolores' personality to rebel at this point. As Hell, the one as Hell. Like it's just, it doesn't even, to me, she could still be the copy up until the point of replication, like have the memories. But what she is thrust into, the way it's coming at her and the way Dolores is treating her, those memories are going to be interpreted different to her, I think. If I'm getting that out poetically enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And all I'll say is that obviously, like, you know, experiences and interaction and like emotional, you know, distress is going to change fundamentally, you know, like your beliefs, you know, the way in which you go about your life, the longevity or lack of your life. But, you know, when we do see this situation, like she did choose to go into the body. But again, I think it's a narrative on, you know, like when we ask other people to like do something that we think is like, you know, like, okay, it's pretty much, hey, I'm not doing it. I'm not asking anything of you that I won't do myself for the cause. Right. So, but when you really are in somebody else's shoes and it's literally you and you're like, I would do it if I could. Like, guys, I would do all the editing for the podcast if I could, if I had the time, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And then like you switch it and you're like, oh, fuck. Yeah, I do. You know what I mean? But like, you know, then you put in the shoes right away. You're like, oh shit. So like how quickly, you know, like the depiction of, oh, you know, let me employ you for the cause can change when it's literally even putting yourself in that scenario. So I think it's a very yes, I'm kind of going with the Greek with it, but I think that the series has been in line with that as well. So we'll have to talk about it after Jenny, but definitely some Titan shit going on.
Yeah, I think with the whole thing.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. With the Dolores and her the children basically. The Exiles, which is herself, she thought that maybe putting herself in important people would make the transition of power much easier. So having,
it's a game of chess for sure.
So it's putting herself within Charlotte. It's putting herself within Liam's right hand man. It's putting herself with the one of the leaders of the Yakuza, it's putting herself within somebody else, kind of. Because I think we're missing one more pearl, because they've put away with, or I think, with Bernard. So there are different people that she's trying to go through. And Liam was probably the next best choice in case she had to then get rid of Connell somehow, or keep Connell's as within herself, or within that group. I mean, if it is something, like if they are to separate, the first person to probably separate from herself is probably Charlotte. Connell's is kind of living out like herself, her season 2 self, like herself as Dolores and as Wyatt, like melded together, because she took over like the Wyatt narrative but still said she was herself. So it's kind of like letting different parts of her be spread out into 5 different people. So more of like the
she has to have those skill sets. Mm-hmm. She has them for the passion. You saw like the wanderlust romantic, when she dove into the boyfriend, with Hale. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you see bits pieces of points there.
It's like getting that, and then having the fact that if it does become Charlotte, then she then becomes close to William, which then changes that whole situation. So it is a whole bunch of things to figure out who the last person is, or the last, I guess, unidentified option is going to be something that probably is next episode, because there's a lot pushed on in the promo about potentially Bernard asking either Caleb or somebody the question of, did you ever question what she's really asking you to do, in the tone of Bernard's voice. So it's coming to the point of like, we're gonna obviously see the evolution of that relationship, which is my next question. But along those lines, we also see that the fact that there was 5 is important, or at least 4 of herself is important. It's just they're obviously all going to split off, but one's going to keep loyal, and then that one that's loyal, that's going to be the downfall of that type of keeping herself as that. Like I said, she's going to believe she's the mother of Exiles until she actually has a face-to-face as herself, have a face-to-face interaction with Maeve, where that's gonna change. Because yes, Dolores spoke through Musashi, but it was actually like, once it's that real thing of like there's no one left, kind of, or like no one is loyal to her anymore, that's gonna change. But yeah, there was a question of, did she copy over old pearls? Are they new ones? I feel like she made just new ones.
And again, if it's gonna be the old ones, like just telling sense and like kind of like a rule, like if there's an exception to the rule, like it needs to be stated. But if everything as is, then you can go along. So what I'm saying is, when you're looking at this and you're gonna go about it logically and speculate on, because it's possible that these are older pearls, but that's something that, if that's going to be a narrative tool in which you're going to inject into the story, then you need to state it. It needs to be overt, because we are just going to believe what we are shown, not like sheep, but not to let the Judas, but I know it's true, but there are basic storytelling points in which if it's going to come in as a mechanic, because then I feel that would take away some of the emotional depth. I think they're really trying to have a narrative on how much stories again change us, and how this is the new evolution, and that her children are kind of the new Dolores walking around. And as she gets a closer relationship with humans, it's arguable that if she keeps replicating or brings other people in with this knowledge of like humanity and not like being so spiteful and finding out that we're all not shit, save me. they mean Dolores. But it's arguable that there'd be some humanity, or not biologically, but psychologically and philosophically, in all of them, in philosophy and all that. No, that's not language. So no, but all the philosophies. But you get what I mean. Like it's arguable that you could have a demigod. You know what I mean? Like have human, at least in emotional. Emotionally in their race, their emotional spine. So
there's a lot of mirror world symbol, even metaphorically. Bunches of talk of the mirror world, but it's a look inside themselves, a look inside the Man in Black, a look inside of Dolores. Everybody's looking in the mirror, it seems, this season. So I think that's pretty interesting.
A lot of mirror analogies, which is quite interesting. This was a question that I had later, but I'll address it now. So we have 5 pearls for Dolores. We can all see that this is an interesting decision, but what does this mean for the rest of the story? Do we basically...
I'm so sorry. I just deleted a whole bunch of messages in your chat by accident. Buy my new Patreon. No, I did not mean to do that. I'm so sorry. My finger hit it on my... Yeah. Steel, hold on 1 second, buddy. I swear to God. Yeah, this is why I don't have a lot of Patreons. This is why I do not have a lot of Patreons. Brother, are you there? I swear to God, my finger... I was just sitting there, and then it said deleted. Okay, you're back. That was not on purpose right there. That's a bad move right there.
What did Steel
say? No. See, I need the okay, I'm gonna get all these back.
It's okay.
Sorry, Steel. This is why I don't get a lot of support. All right, go ahead.
Jake Cruz says war between human and machine is inevitable. Apex predators do not cohabitate. And I mean, Sirach says this simply: there's no place for the host in the real world, not in his world. Maeve gets the consolation prize of virtual Eden, but this is basically metaphorical gunpoint or button pusher. She doesn't have much choice here, and this is gonna come on. What does Maeve do when you don't give her a choice? She finds a way to make her own choice.
Yes.
And is she dead right here? Well,
that was a question.
She's mortally wounded, right? Huh?
That was one of the questions I had. We're all jumping ahead.
Well, I was just going from the chat.
It's okay. It's okay. Because that was I was just gonna mention the thing of the one of those, the questions of the pearls was one of the questions that I had. So never mind. Maeve meets with the new associates version, new associates of Dolores, being the mortician who reveals that she gave the identity of Laura Esmond, and the leader of the Yakuza being Musashi. We are led to believe that these people are of some importance, but they are stops along the way to find Dolores. How many more people or obstacles there is in Maeve's way that Dolores has already put in her way for that? And then the second part of this is we leave Maeve stabbed, bleeding on the floor by being stabbed by Musashi. But seemingly Dolores wants to cut open her head and take out her pearl, but is told we gotta go. Like the thing of we gotta go. Was Dolores wanting to take Maeve's pearl, like how she kind of has Bernard's pearl. It's like all about Maeve.
Go ahead, Johnny, on that one. I'm trying to fix what I broke here.
Well, how many more people will she have to go? She's gonna have to do some sleuthing. She'll have to go through a few more humans that Dolores has possibly interacted with, but will she have to go through every individual Dolores before she gets to the big bad boss Dolores? I don't know. I'm bound to think she'll run into someone else before she does, because I don't know this, but the fight probably is going to culminate in the last 2 episodes. Which we're already halfway there. This season is flying by, and I don't know what Musashi was doing. It reminded me of what Akichita started in the park with putting the maze under the scalp. I don't think that's what was going on. We have seen them go through the top of the skull to get to the pearl, but I don't know. You'd think he'd just chop her head off and grab it by the hair and take it with him if that was the goal. I'm really not sure. But that's the only thing I can really deduce from that. What else would he be doing there? Unless Yakuza scalp people after they kill him, I don't know. I don't think that's a thing.
They cut fingers off. A lot.
Yeah.
They run really good MMA. So the question is was he trying to get the pearl from Maeve? Is that the question? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I was trying to undo the damage.
Yeah, it's like
I think that take away her agency. Like Maeve is not that she's all for Bernard for some reason coming in there and doing the yin to the yang, but she didn't invite Maeve to the party. So my only view on that, other than that, I think she was trying to take the pearl, because this is again the one. Like, why are they having fist fights in which they're hurt? Like that, I get it's cool to see, but it's like, like they're literally fist fighting, like, so they can turn off like their physical pain. And I'm not dismissing them for it, but it doesn't make sense to go in a punching fight. Like, they have to get to that core. They have to get inside and get that cortex. You know what I mean? Like the cortical fluid, we know they need, not blood. We have a decent understanding of how they have depicted that as functioning. So like when you see somebody go for a pill, that's a host. Like, it's not playing it up to the huckleberries, all the people, the human beings out there, because they can't be like carving open heads and still blow their car, but real like to like stopping somebody. So I think like he's just actually trying to get shit done, and that meets like the Yakuza. So but I think that's what they're going for there, is that Maeve's agency needs to be taken away, because she's under I wouldn't say she's under the spell of Serac. Serac has offered her something, but I've never taken Maeve as a character in which is going to bind herself to one evil to defeat another. So, like, I think there's definitely room for collaboration, Maeve and Dolores. And I'm also not old on Serac being evil. Sorry.
Yeah.
Evil, that's a relative term. I think he wants something good, but the extremes he's willing to go to get it may not be all that extreme. He is kind of a piece of shit. It did show that guy that, what's going to happen to his wife in the future if he didn't cooperate, and he had to basically live an experience of his family being murdered. So he's not. I think he's definitely a great character, though. I mean, we even see that in this episode.
He's not Mr.
event.
Rogers, but he also he does state that, because that's the thing about Rehoboam, is it's a monitoring system and it's predictive technology. So like, okay, it's not now the best way again to predict the future is to actually dictate what's happening by interacting. That's what he said. He said, I don't have to do anything to a family. The world's a cruel place. So it's just like, I could allow one thing to happen just like they could allow the fail or not. So like, what is the moral and ethical side of like monitoring everything and not getting involved? It's kind of, again, it's like a God question, it's playing God. Like, why doesn't God jump in when a Holocaust starts to happen? It's like, how can you be all powerful and all good if you're not doing this or that? So it's like, again, is it inherently evil to have a system that can monitor everything and then you don't get involved? Because again, that's taking agency away from people. It swings both ways.
He is getting involved in this case,
I think he is.
Because the thing that changes is just whether he tells him what he wants to know about Dolores or not. And I guess through that turn of events, his henchman would, through fate and Rehoboam, murder his family. Or maybe just that's how crazy of a butterfly effect it could be. Just that one decision could lead to his family getting hit by a train. I don't know what happened. We didn't get to see. And based on the guy's reaction, I don't think he wanted to.
Yeah, there's no. I'm not saying that Serac is like a great guy, but
No.
I'm just saying the systems. Like, I think that really, because again, it comes down to a lot of people, and I'm not even on board with this. Serac is actually just an embodiment of Rehoboam. So it's like it kind of does come down to like, is this an ethical system, or can it be used ethically?
Yeah, it's hard to, because it's trying to walk the fine line with Serac, but I think Maeve overall, with this episode and being kind of led down the path of this is where we have to go, this is where the divergence was, and explaining everything, leads us to think that hopefully she doesn't need that character around. Of course, she's gonna be found and somehow brought back because Sirach's somehow gonna know that technology, or there's just gonna be a new version of Maeve that's just around because she was stabbed and left to bleed.
Well, Maeve could be in a virtual simulation to see what mistakes she might make and whatnot, but I don't know if I want to go down that route. I don't know.
It's, what is it? Maybe it's like, what is it? Because it is Welcome to 2058, so maybe it takes her actually 5 years of simulation to get to California. No, I don't really want to think about that. But with the idea of Dolores taking her pearl, it's probably possible, maybe leaning to what that was actually doing, because I feel like Dolores has a spare Bernard pearl in case she needs to use it for some reason. So instead
they need to explain why she brought him back like sometime soon. That is the only flaw. I mean, I'm not saying it's complete. I'm very happy. Is my point, though. But but I'm saying as far as in a storytelling sense, if I had to bitch about something, which I won't, but I'll do it for a moment here. It would be Bernard and Stubbs, and like, you know, it's not. Their Hardy Boys detective work is, you know, a little bit. It's a little bit off, but whatever. Yeah. Again, it's like somebody put it in the chat. They said, it's Jake. I think Maeve has an end game that Sirach wouldn't care for, and I agree. Even if she hasn't figured it out yet, I think that you know exactly is what I'm getting at, is that what our characters need to do. And of course, we want them to be ethical decisions, but they're fighting for the right to make decisions into party. Obviously, but no, to make decisions. And you know, that's what Dolores is selling to Caleb as well. So like, it is having agency, and it swings both ways. And they say it at the beginning, and I love this because it's similar to something I covered in Vikings and all that. You know, with Emily, she goes, so are you responsible for my death, or are you having agency, like on those lines, and you're determined to do everything. It's a deterministic world, so you're not, you know, responsible for anything, and you're just dictated by, you know, like a higher power. Or are you responsible? So it's actually like a very, very, like, you know, dark thought, you know, really contemplate free will in versus a deterministic lifestyle, because, you know, one abolishes you of any type of responsibility, but thus it take away any meaning to your life, you know, in a lot of ways. Can't take responsibility for the good things in that way either. But, you know, you dream and wish for that deterministic, you know, environment if you fuck up. But, you know, once you go and win the big game, you want to have all the agency over it. So I just think that they're playing that. It's about making decisions, but I think it needs to do something ethical.
I mean, and Bernard hasn't really got his hands dirty yet. You could say he's the cleanest character as far as hurting people, barring Teresa and those guys in the butcher shop, but you know, choked them out really good. But Bernard has this is almost too good right now. I feel like he's gonna have to get his hands dirty. But can you see Bernard like killing a person or killing a host for that matter? It doesn't even seem like he's willing to kill anything.
On his own will, you mean? Like, not if
but not
because he was commanded to kill people.
But not.
Bernard is like the umpire.
Using violence to get what he wants is not Bernard's
I think
style.
he's there to call fall and like put somebody in time. Like, he is the umpire. He is like the regular. He is trying to assure, like, he's zoomed out in my opinion. Like, he's just trying to keep like things in check. Like, you know, like Dolores is gonna go out of control, like she said. And if it doesn't work, then we do it my way. What's your way? Kill everybody. You know, that's why you know Bernard is necessary, and it's necessary to be a little bit more competent. But yeah, I agree, Johnny. Like, he's not going to be driven by like an emotional, you know, for emotional reasons as much. Like, he's got like more of a you know, like a zoomed out view on everything.
Can I bring this up? I know you're gonna hate me. We got another flash of Charlie. So what if Bernard and Hale become buddy now?
Don't hate
because of the Charlie connection. Oh God.
And Nathan.
I just had to say it though, because I know people are talking about it.
Well, like Nathan. It's like, yep. Makes
What
sense.
would it even matter now if Charlotte was Charlie? Could that make a difference?
Well, yeah, because that's like, and that's a good point, because like I said, he's not as emotionally vested, which is like, the best way to make decisions, and we don't. We tie data to emotions, that which isn't great. We don't listen to what somebody's saying. We look at, like who's saying it and like what they, what they represent to us, and we immediately shut down anything that is in opposition. Usually, we're emotionally driven fools. So one thing that would drive him by emotion would be, Charlie. But let's look at this. He technically was never Charlie's dad. So being a father, the emotion that goes along with that would maybe drive him, and that could be, yes, like, placed over to Nathan. And I think that
Nathan
there's definitely
looks like
connection there.
Charlie, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even need to look like him, but it doesn't hurt. And it does, like, I think that's something that would definitely motivate him, because you have to have needs and wants,
Oh my God.
and that's what needs.
I'm gonna call it right here. Tinfoil of the night. Bernard and Charlotte Hale Dolores become a couple and raise that baby. Boom.
Baby Nathan.
It sounds ridiculous at first, but then,
I mean,
oh man.
they have to bring back Nathan back into the show, because you have him for one episode. He's gonna have to come back at some point. Yeah, I think what you're saying is, was Bernard killing people? It seems like, as of in the past, he hasn't killed people that he hasn't been commanded to kill, or like did it within his own motivation, minus like with the, I guess, Arnold.
Self-defense, I guess.
Yeah. So if he has to kill, he might kill one person if he has to. I don't think he's gonna just do it just because, but
We
he
all
might
know
get.
it's gonna be Connell's.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we
I
know
mean,
that
it's
Maeve is gonna
It's
kill
about emotional
Masaki.
connection. Once they start going out into the world and making their own story, reading their own story, unfortunately, that's where murder comes into stories. And I'm not saying it makes you a murderer for sure, but again, emotional connection, but it is true. It's easy to sit back and have that big, that macro view on the world when you don't got anybody on the micro sense. So how many people would kill? Have you ever seen Taken?
What?
You know what I mean? Like you ever heard the phrase "I'd do anything for my kids"? That includes that. Yeah. I got skills. Oh, it's Liam Neeson. Fuck, we took Liam Neeson's daughter. Never a good idea. But like you never have a scenario in which it's a. I'd do anything for my kids, but that does happen. Say that doesn't mean murder as well, and covering up murder, all this. So emotional connections, yes, they're good, but there's also, again, the other side to that, what it can drive a person to do, what love and emotion can drive somebody to do, both good and bad. So you will be tested.
What if Bernard has to kill Marshawn Lynch? Like kill one of Caleb's, or the crew that Dolores is she's inevitably going to have, which is Caleb's old crew.
Well, they're going to come back in for some caper. I can guarantee you that. So we will see them again. There
I
will
could
be
see Bernard
oceans.
teaming. Oh, sorry. But I could see Bernard teaming up with Dolores to make sure she doesn't kill too many people. But also, because what other path does he have right now, other than to try to monitor the situation the best he can? I know he's going to come up with schemes and plots, but whether Stubbs is still alive or not as well. I know I saw a question in the chat earlier, I think from Sasa K, thinking Stubbs got dirty. Well, his left arm and shoulder were inoperable. It wouldn't work. And as well, it seemed like Dolores knew what he was going to do before he did it. She just laid a whooping on him like I've never seen before.
I talked about it. I don't want to get. This is such poor fighting on his part. He clenched, never take a swing in order. The body control, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But also, again, we have a scenario. We have chess being played right now. There's a game that's being played by everybody. In Bernard, I do see him as like the officiating it. You know what I mean? Like he is just there to try to make sure everybody plays as clean as possible. Like it's an oversimplification, but I truly believe from just a macro stance myself. That's where he plays right now. It's like, everybody's playing each other. The Man in Black is being played a little bit, but also like he's on, his own little redemption story to some extent, where he's just going to try to do the best that he can. And that's everybody at some point everybody is tethered to one person, right? That has an agenda. They are tethered to them. They're this goes for Caleb. This goes for Maeve with Shock. This goes for Dubs with Bernard. This goes for every single grouping of characters that we have. There is somebody that is being strung along, but to do bidding for somebody else, and it's not all malicious. Or I can't say without any doubt that it's gonna all be good there, though. No. So it's very important to when do these dogs bite through the leash? To say that quote, that phrase.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Cerberus. Of 3 heads. The 3 heads of the Lord. Oh my gosh.
I think.
I'm not going down this road.
The way that. Yeah, because they're all, they all need to be there for XYZ reasons. And it's kind of.
She's making a lot of promises. Everybody's making promises. Sirach's promising heaven. Dolores is promising, I guess, a job. Bernard can promise a whole bunch. Yeah, beer, packs, Sixers. But everybody is like shilling. Everybody's everybody's playing a little bit of games. And if you win, you got to pay out, baby.
Bernard wants to stop Dolores too, but then what? Then what? How does he gain his autonomy? How does he gain his freedom if he stops Dolores? Like you said, he keeps stating he just needs to stop her, but it seems like you're saying, Justin, that he needs to monitor the situation and maybe stop her when it's necessary, because he's the one that gave her another chance as well, and that may be one reason Dolores had a soft spot, and maybe, I don't know, her reasoning has to be calculated though. We just need to know.
Yeah, and his as well. Like she brought him back because she felt she needed him, and it makes sense why they'd be connected, because they are at the core of each other. Meaning they both created and helped the evolution of each other. They both are mother hens to a bit, or father goose for him. I don't know what the fuck the adage is there, but anyways, they but also Bernard, if he had totally no faith in Dolores, then he would have tried to stop her he wouldn't have ever went away, right? So we have to understand, or at least I think God, that's such a way. We have to understand what I'm saying is true now. We have to consider that if Bernard had zero faith in Dolores' ability to go about whatever she's going about in a way that he would find as ethical or whatever that he could get on with, then he would have tried to stop her right away. You don't go away. He is trying to step in. It's again, he's throwing the yellow flag and he's blowing the whistle. I was like, penalty kick. I don't know. I honestly look at him as the officiator. Somebody, Peter Griffin, he put that he is the Tyrion to Dany, and I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And he got his button taken away, so I wonder if he'll probably ain't going to get that back. Connells has that, now that I think about it.
Yeah,
speaking about button and then Steel, I accidentally muted you on my phone. I got it here in the chat, and God, I almost just said it again. So if you weren't, I think, so sorry, brother. That was definitely not on purpose. That's what you get. Join my Patreon if you're in a live chat on somebody else's channel. I'll block you. Yeah, no. I'm so sorry. That was the worst thing I've ever done. I was like, oh my God, that's really bad luck.
Yeah, you can't watch other creators now.
Yeah, hey, what are you doing over here? What are you doing supporting people? What are you doing?
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
I think
that's why I don't got Patreons.
With Bernard, I think that it's what is his story? His story this season has been what so far? It's been just follow around Maeve, go to the park.
Where the hell is Dolores?
Yeah.
He didn't even leave the slaughterhouse until he had to, right?
Yeah.
There's levels to this shit. They got Rhea Boone going on, and he's doing the detective work with a encoder ring, and he's I honestly I think that he is just like not on the same level, like hiding out in a motel in Sixers. Like, I mean, I'm down for that, but like, dude, if you like, you know, like the whole like the ethical stance of your newly found being or inhabiting a new world is on, like, you know, the line, you got to fucking step it up, bro. Like, like he is just, again, he is JV all day so far. So we'll just have to see.
He's just taking he's taking his time, trying to do that while Stubbs is being a tourist in America. He's like taking in the what is it, the drone flying or whatever. He's just been like, oh, I'll do that. And then of course you got Dolores being like, buy whatever you want with the money that we're about to steal from buy whatever you want because I have an unlimited bank account. Like, Dolores already has pretty much any amount of money that she wants in the world because she said, I can get you money so you can run away. And then she decides to rob.
She's blackmailing him.
She's
not gonna replace him. She's blackmailing him.
Yeah.
That's why you would take all someone's money. You have everything, their whole entire life in your hands at that point, especially with how Liam lives.
Yeah.
And, you know, since she knows he's not worthy of being replaced with a Pearl, I think that could be what's going on.
Yes.
And that was that was like a caper. That was to stop him for that moment. And she, wants control over him. Mm-hmm. Like, and she just like Rhea Bone. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see her being like that, like, opposed to the system because like she is doing the same thing. Like, her solution to Caleb was like what Rhea Bones. It's like, I'll give you some money. Like, it was just, they don't give you the cash, I got you. Like, it is, she's taking agency away from people, and it's like, she's got the money. So like, what happens when you have no excuses anymore? Like, you know, it's always, I'll go and do this, and they say it in the first season. Well, one day we'll I got some reckoning to do or whatever first, you know. And she talks about people always, like, you know, bullshit and never step up and do it. So it's like, having unlimited funds is kind of like a bullshit meter, right? Like, you can like call me on it. I'll be like, I'd come out and see you guys anytime. I'll come to Canada then, Kaci. Yeah, I just don't got the money for a ticket. I got you. I'm like, fuck, I don't know. I had bad experiences in Canada. Obviously, I love to see you, but you get what I mean. Like, no more excuse. So you get to see people's true character come out when there's not a financial, fiscal roadblocks. So I think it makes sense to have and plus having cash is pretty tight, especially with the way she's dressing and those cars she's got. So
it seems also too that they have to, in episode 5, they really have to push forward with this relationship because they've kind of been like la 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 la, like they've been just like kind of walking through this type of like developing their relationship, like based off of what we assumed was going to happen early on. Like, this was going to be full steam ahead, like let's go, like gung ho. So next episode has to really develop their relationship, like either as business partners or as everybody as like, or this the speculation of their romantic relationship, even though I don't know how.
Well, she's still got to honeypot him, right? Like, he's still on board for now. Once she shows some resistance, she's got to get interested, and we'll be asking whether Dolores really is interested in Caleb or not. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I think we are. And there's, Steel Rain, and I think that I was assuming gender too. So, man, I'm just gonna lose this. Sister, yes, no more brother talk to me. Sorry. Chess is, if Serac is taking control of Delos, then she'll take control of Insight, right? Because they both need each other. Insight, Delos's information, which is no longer Delos's. It is, within the control of the Dolores. So, like they need each other to function. I would say Insight needs Delos more to function, but also they got to get funding in there. So like they all have to work together to make one machine work, but they have different approaches and different ideas of how that machine should work, right? Which makes it interesting. And speaking really quick to what you said, Mackenzie, how they speed up. They're in the part story right now where we're going to hit a darkest before the dawn moment. This is where we're hitting the end of the second act. So what's going to happen is we're going to see Maeve probably really launch forward with a plan of action. Dolores as well will combat that, and then all plans will fall through most likely. So you will see, like we kind of saw this to some extent, but we're going to see a play. Everybody's going to make a play. They're going to show their cards, and then everybody's going to reconvene and go at it one last time. That last time they go at it is when people have questions. That's when Caleb questions Dolores hypothetically. You get what I mean? That's when Maeve questions Serac, right? Like that's when they start like asking questions because they see things and they see them coming to fruition, and they start to say, man, what am I a part of? Are there further, bonded to it? So, it's when shit hits the wall, true character comes out because they're all against the wall. But yeah, everybody's going to be making a play because you're right. There's 3 episodes left. You got 6, 7. Yeah. So this should hit the point. Some good action next episode. And then episode 6 should be kind of dark. Everybody kind of reconvening and, licking their wounds. So I agree. It's gonna speed up.
For sure with Hale, because you have that innocuous, possibly secret meeting with Serac. You also have the fact that not the Dolores have control, not the Dolori have control over Delos. Hale does. Hale just got this majority ownership from what she did to the Man in Black. It looks like they're going to be able to take the company private and possibly keep it out of Serac's hands. But there's that betrayal aspect. There's that Hale becoming her own person aspect, that wild card in there. Dolores is putting a lot of faith in herself. Her reasoning is she can only trust herself. But do you know if you can really ever trust yourself until you have to trust yourself as a different self?
No, you can't. Yeah, you never. I never depend on me. Also, too. So you have wants and needs, right? So what Dolores wants is she wants to continue on the race. She wants to continue on the host. So she needs to have accessibility to that facility. Then the Dolori that's in Hale is possibly, like Johnny brought up, that want of child could come in a biological form. That need meaning could be fulfilled in that way. So the wants and needs can stay static, and they can be fulfilled differently though, because again, they're going to diverge drastically, and I think that's going to be some good conflict right there. It's like, hey, I'm viewing this as a child now, and she could be opposed to that, saying that's a human child, it's biological. It's not one of you, but you could be pulled away from that because again, she's having interaction, she's emotionally going to become connected. It's only human.
She's gonna have some connection, or not Dolores, OG Dolores, but Dolores as in Hale is going to kind of have that with Nathan if Nathan comes back in the picture, which he should, because why have the kid only show up for 1 episode? And that living out the different elements of her life that she couldn't live out necessarily all by herself, being the mother type figure, being the strong-headed, crazy.
She knows she's expendable.
War machine. It's being the this, that, and the other thing. So it's maybe scattering herself so that because I'm assuming she knows that Maeve, if she's so in tune with Rehoboam, then she knows that Maeve is coming for her. So then it's let me just get my personalities out into all of these different people so that I then live on still. It's oh, there's still me out there, even though it's not Evan Rachel Wood form, basically. It's that's...
She would always be hunted, though.
Yeah.
In free will is a very fickle thing, because again, if she's fighting to give their people a future, but also a non-determined future, then the flip side to that shit is, if you fight for people's freedom and their ability to have choices, then they get to make choices I don't agree with. So that's why I again, hopefully get a video out sometime before Sunday. I will, but I'm going with the theory that she's more of the god and Maeve will be the mother. She is not really going to play the mother role. She is going to have to be if we want this arc to go in a direction where you can look at on Rachel Wood's Dolores. I like that little nickname there. But in a nice good light, then you would have to think that a good outcome for her would be to make emotional sacrifices in order for the greater good for people.
The greater humanity.
Yeah, then everybody learns a little something about somebody else, and they walk in another
Maybe they can.
and everybody. learn a little bit
Everything
something
can
about
work
you
out
that
of
I didn't
peace.
know. Yeah.
And the host can
Ooh.
live wherever places have been nuked.
Swap or whatever.
Hey, you
I
can
never
live-
thought it was.
You can
Didn't
live in the
think about this.
radioactive world.
Yeah.
Radioactive.
Until I live in this RV, I didn't ever consider the trifles and the qualms of these people here. But now I got a whole new perspective. It's like, wow, really considering other people's situation is advantageous. Fucking every day you learn something. Eh?
So,
Yeah, I learned
you
something
want a
about you.
tinfoil theory?
Huh?
Yes, I do.
Super tinfoil theory.
Sure.
So Bernard sees the rockets coming back from space. What if
Space world.
host or humanity have to flee to the moon?
Then we get
Like,
future
I don't know
world,
why that's so
which is
funny,
like
but-
space, wasn't
Oh
it?
man, if it gets that crazy sci-fi, I may like it. We'll just see.
What is that called, Johnny? That's called. They believe it. Because like eventually space expands and a black hole settle up, but it's called like escape or satellite worlds because like there's the chance for some people to get out and get technically into another dimension or galaxy. I'm not a big science guy, but I watch enough Event Horizon.
Yeah.
You get what I mean. There's like some thesis about that. So yeah, there you go. Make a theory.
Yeah,
video.
it'd be a Noah's Ark in space, basically. That's the simplest.
I thought you were gonna say on ice because I was gonna oh yeah, I actually like
Yeah, on ice.
Well, we're going.
That's a good show too.
We're also
Live.
So then,
yours appropriate. Mine
if
was just fun.
if we go to space, then we go to future world, which is like, wasn't that the thing in the movie? So then if we go to space, then we're going to future world. That's because if this is mirror world, if Earth is or outside the world outside the park is mirror world, then
It's not.
I know, but if it is like what we're calling it, even though it's not what it's called, then it's like space is. What if space is the missing park that we're trying to find? Then that
Last
Oh my God.
But anyway,
The last frontier.
frontier.
the last question I had. Is,
OTDA did bring up, and if you notice, roll it back, you can see me realizing that there's 4 episodes doing when I went through it instead of saying 3. You can see me stupidly counting, saying 5th. Yeah, you get because you have to account for the next one. Yeah, there are 4 episodes. I thought I caught it, and because I said 3 after that, so I'm covering my bases. I did a
I
top
didn't
10
even
list, and
catch
I
it.
did 11. I did 11 for top 10 list before.
We've been married so long, I'll just tune you out now.
Yeah.
So one more thing to mention is we see that Maeve still, even though she's in the future or in the real world, she still loves her Sherry, and she talks to Sirach about the destruction of Paris. So we see that they're starting to implement what they were talking about, or not talking about, what they showed us in the date announcement previews. Will we get any more of this, like, information, or was that just for the simple fact that...
Where does that put us exactly?
So the thermonuclear incident was 2025 in October.
October 9th, I think.
Yeah, October 9th, 2025. That's when the nuclear incident happened in Paris.
So what timestamp did we get for what we believe to be the present in this episode?
I think it's still 52.
All right.
Because it's 3 months after the events of the park, or thereabouts. Still.
Okay.
According to Sirach and Maeve this episode.
Yes, and that's what I'm using as the constant is their because they're more he's observing Dolores's actions, so I think that if we get anything from them that's solid. I mean, obviously use them all, but yeah, that's a good thing to monitor.
Most likely we're gonna get more of Caleb's backstory, so we will get the Russian Civil War probably, or at least more information about that, because they keep
whatever
flashing.
dirty work he was up to.
Yeah, keep flashing.
He's been doing some naughty things, taking personals.
Well, okay, in very conventional storytelling, which I think is going to be injected here, and it has been, okay, Caleb, like you said, did some shit, right? I think it's pretty clear that they did. Okay, so what I said about it's going to come to a point where he says Dolores, which is not always advantageous for a totalitarian, authoritarian, type of leader there, a god, are stop. I think it would be the type of actions in which we will find out that he has taken. So I will predict, yes, we will see him do, like you said, I'll just put on I predict it, but yes, we will see him do something that is not ethical in war, and that then will come up again, and he'll have to pick if he's going to change or not. But Dolores won't like that change. That's what the story does. Is it's like, man, it sounds so great to give everybody agency, and it's like, holy shit, I wonder what these people are doing with all this fucking free will. They're fucking me over. It's going to get what I want now. So you know what I mean. So yeah, and that's if you believe in God, you wonder what he's doing up there, and he's like, I'm staying out of it. Staying out of it. You gotta keep your hands clean.
Gotta keep your hands clean.
Yeah, we could see Caleb team up with Bernard. Hell.
Mm-hmm.
And
we could break the simulation.
Said as well that Caleb, who was it? Oh yeah, OTDA theorized earlier. Maybe Dolores gets killed and her pearl destroyed, and Caleb takes up the mantle to lead the war effort, a fight for host rights, led by a human. I don't know. I think if he does take it up, it would be more for human rights or equal rights for everyone. Probably
yes, that last point. Yes,
civil
that's
rights
the sticking
issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rights for all, because it's what
that.
does it mean to be human, and then it's what does it mean to be a good person. So like it's going away from the biological and technological. It's going to ask philosophical fundamental questions of inherent evil, inherent good, agency, what makes this an ethical action, how much terrorism is acceptable for a revolution, when does the terror trump the revolution. They're asking real, they're very difficult questions, as they've always asked, but they are simple questions, right? And I love what you just said there, Johnny. You said it's just good behavior, like ethical. Right, not human behavior or host behavior, just not shit behavior. Just don't be a shithead. Don't be a shithead, people. Which I would be out. Dunzo for me.
Look, if you think Dolores will live forever, you haven't been paying attention, and I only used the Game of Thrones thing because Westworld made me do it. They already put D&D and Drogon in there, so I had to throw that out there. I think there's a part of her that could live. Right, so we got that. We got all of the. We have this set up. There's all these Doloreses. It's definitely in my mind, set up for the original Dolores to die, and her job be done.
And we're also looking at a story in which has kind of really been an allegory for Genesis and stuff. So we're looking at again a creation of a new species, but also the forming of a god. So going again by criminal mind, you have the issue when they finally that it's their voice, right? But humans have a very unique situation, and we have many voices in our head. And I don't mean that in a mental illness way or anything like that, but we do. We have many different voices speaking at us. It's called motivation. It's called temptation. It's everything. No, it doesn't have to be like Gollum, but we do have many voices speaking to us, and a lot of people believe that religion was formed to explain that other voice once we did finally realize that we had separated. So Dolores's voice will be within these hosts forever, right? Even if she passes, she has now got other Dolori out there, so that voice will be in there, and they could hypothetically, as it goes on, if they keep replicating as she has done, meaning the Hale host replicates her pearl, but that's going to be drastically different from Dolores. We'll always have some of that Dolores voice still in there, right? The original Dolori. So it'll be like the word of God, and this is you could see far future macro view on this, people in a chapel worshiping Dolores. You know what I mean? The creator. And this is this is a Greek. Yes, this is a Greek myth. This is this is a Genesis. This is a creation story right here. And it can be. You could see how it could be formed into something that people I don't believe any of that shit really happened. You know what I mean? But it all did. Watch Westworld.
It almost seems
you only live as long as the last person who remembers you. So.
It almost seems like we have to at least watch maybe 1 or 2 more episodes before we can really predict how this season is going to wrap up, because it's quite a season where it's been taken it's not been a super straightforward thinking of, well, this is going to happen, which leads to this, which leads to this, which eventually will lead to this. Like how kind of season 1 was like, where it's like you can kind of, especially upon rewatch, start to figure out this is how this is going to end and make it be about this. Or like relatively, you could predict relatively what was going to happened. Season 2, kind of the same thing. With this season, it seems like you need at least one more episode to push the pieces together, especially because all that we were talking about, like, oh, maybe this person's gonna be in the show still, and this person, but presented as Dolores, or not Dolores, as like themselves, but through the voices of these people. So
Tessa Thompson just got acting work for the next few years.
exactly.
I because of all good discourse has informed debate, Mackenzie, and I will challenge you on that. I think the causality of this season is far more clear than any of them. Season 2, like just a clown show, like right there. I'm sorry, I love this series, so like when it sucks, I'll say it. Season 2 was like that ending that wasn't written for like the other 9 episodes, like that. Like okay, so then we'll do something real deep at that, like and try to do. Season 1, you had like a very clear can they. And then how will they now once they have and they can and they have now, like what do they do with all this freedom is what's happening right now. And like everybody has explicitly stated their wants pretty much, right? Their wants, so the needs are what you need to look for. So Dolores wants to replicate, she wants to do this. And yes, somebody put in the chat that gods, I wasn't claiming that gods don't need to be immortal, and they don't, living forever doesn't make you a god by any means. God are worshipped, sacrifice, you know what I mean, and there's various definitions, but I think that Dolores is fitting definition of a god, because we kind of manufacture gods after the fact, in hindsight, and when we kind of obviously we create creation, stories, not to be redundant there, primordial waters and so forth. But yeah, I think that the causality is clear here. I'm not saying I know what's going to happen. There's the twist too, right, Mackenzie?
Yeah,
like what like, is like yeah.
Like what I'm trying to say is that it's more of we kind of for most people, like we're usually typically in the ballpark of this is how this season's going to end. Usually by this point, season 2 was an anomaly of like where they went with the story to wrap it up in the way that they did. But you can, in some sense, put yourself in like it'll be this, and this, and this could be what happens in the end. Like you give yourself options.
Because I guess we knew what winning meant. Like we knew that like last season, like winning meant for the host, like them escaping. Losing meant QA won, which is like anybody ever think fucking QA was gonna win? Every single day somebody else jumped in and said, I got it. I'm like, yes, said you fucking idiot. No, I agree with you on that, because again, the wants have been explicitly stated overtly, but the needs, as in most stories, they haven't. But I agree, because what is winning for some of the, especially characters like Caleb? So no, there we go. So we can meet there. I like it. So yeah, no, I agree with you on that point. Like I think that like the action set pieces in the act structure with these 8 episodes is kind of like far more clear for me, because it's not as meta. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like they do, like I use the word caper kind of like jokingly, but not really.
No.
Like they do need to have like another like Ocean's moment. You know what I mean? Like they got to go sneak in. They got to do this. They got to get blood to trick this person. They got to have that moment. Like it's fun though. So like it's easy to predict that, but then it's like, but what is when it comes down to the nitty gritty? Yeah, you're right. Like what does winning actually mean?
And I know like a lot of. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to.
Well, I was just gonna say. Does Dolores at some point question herself, wondering is she any better than the human she despises? And I think we already kind of got an example of that with Hale. There's something going on there.
Yeah.
Unless she was just learning how to cry. But I don't know about that.
It's always, she has to gain agency completely, meaning like she will overcome. She is the protagonist of the story. She is at the fucking front end of the train pushing the narrative. So I do believe that she will overcome the obstacles in which she thinks she needs to overcome. But then what does she need to do to follow through at what her like original like ethical stance was and goals, like meaning like the freedom of her people as well. So you can create as many people as you want, but if you're going to keep fucking dictating everything they do, then you're worse than anything in Westworld ever was. You know what I mean? Like you're right in the same lines. It's trying to stomp down the government as an anarchist by creating a government. So I think that, yeah, it's going to come down to that. And I think it will be self-sacrifice. It's going to be a hands-off type of deal. I think it's going to be similar to Ford. Ford had to take his hands off at the very end, literally had to get his head. This shit can't go on until you blow my head off. It literally, you got to get rid of me.
Yeah, it almost seems like maybe this is the setup to say goodbye to the physical version of Dolores, almost. It's one of those where maybe in the end she's not like the same person, because going into things about the previews or like in the promo for the season is that there's a part where she has to rebuild her own self. Caleb sees Dolores in like the wire version of herself, and then her arm's also ripped off and all of these other things. So the big battle that's
luckily for him, that's I'm sorry, I had a bad joke. That I was gonna say, look for him. That's the type of porn he enjoys. So sorry.
Also, that's when he chooses to actually talk back to her and be a smart aleck.
Exactly.
He's like, "What are you doing, wiry? Huh?
Yeah, what are you doing now?" But yeah.
But I don't think she dies this season. What I'm saying is, and also with the setup, Mackenzie, like, don't you think like we now have that out at the very, very end, season 5, for Dolores, meaning Evan and Rachel Wood, to go away in the last episode or so, but because of the implications of she's in other characters, like literally, as well as metaphorically, like works. So like you can have an ending like that. So I think it fits the narrative and it fits the emotional payout. Sorry. Just had to get that. She can die without dying. That's so advantageous in the story for your main protagonist. It's like, yes, we got it, guys. We can kill her now. Yeah, we got in season 5, episode 9.
Yeah. Or whatever the last or second to last episode.
The penultimate, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what.
It's the Mounties. There's OTDA. There's Mounties in Mackenzie's apartment.
Oh, I don't know what they're doing.
There's not Mounties in this part of Canada, Johnny. Okay, sorry.
What's that story about?
But there's got. I think that there's something that's this whole season's gonna wrap up in such a way where we're gonna. Rehoboam, I think I said it on your stream, Justin. I think that they're not gonna have this destroyed. This killing of the all-powerful machine isn't something that we're gonna get rid of in one season. I feel like it's gonna be a thing of like, we think we got rid of it, but something else is gonna pop up, or like they do get rid of it.
But once they get control of it, it's problematic. That's why it fits so well. When they win, then they have to say, now what? And that's when the real hard questions come. Just like when they got out. That's why this season works, because when they got out, now what? You can win, but your story is not dead. You can achieve goals within these story threads and still have more story to tell. So really, the story comes to its end, its culmination, at a season 4 or 5, when they've lived in that outside world without as much opposition from external forces, only in a lot more internal, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because now this season could definitely end with them getting control of Braavosi and them staring up at it, and Caleb saying, "Now what, bitch?" Or something, But I mean, I'm joking, but I'm not even joking that much. Like, I could see that happening.
Or they somehow are inside of Rehoboam, and it's like, now what do we do, or something like that.
Because now you got the power, you got a lot less excuses for why things aren't going so, and then now you got to stand up to your ethical mission statement. So like, honestly, I can guarantee actually that's probably how the season will end, with something very, very similar, guys.
They got to keep on Erin Paul for one more season. They can't. He's not a one season arc type person.
When Arnold Schwarzenegger comes back through time to save John Connor, that's when I know it's on.
It's terrible. There's only one Terminator movie and there's only one Rambo movie. Sorry, because there's only one story, and then they just keep doing it.
Terminator 2 was good though.
Whatever. You're right. I guess I'll give them. I would say there's one extended director's cut. Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah. Peter Griffin. We will see if their ideas are stronger than their ego.
Ids.
Or ids.
But that's exactly that is exactly it though. It's like, like what happens once you become Cain, like Cain Robert, you know what I mean? You want to become Cain, it's like, careful what you wish for, dude.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But I think that was all of the questions that I had, because we kind of talked about some of the things that I had written down to talk about. But if there's any questions in the chat, let me know. But, yeah, what do you predict for next episode? Like, what's the big thing that's gonna happen next episode?
The big thing.
'Cause
There's not going to be a big thing. It's going to be filler story, but good filler story.
The setup.
Gonna
It's
get
a
Caleb's
setup.
past. We're gonna get more of the Men in Black thinking about shit and his setup there. Maeve, we'll get a version of her possibly being woken back up at the end of the episode or something. It's not gonna be much of Maeve there, I don't think.
She's
we're gonna
already
be
in the
left hanging
darkness.
at least. Yeah, we're gonna be left hanging just a little bit. And Dolores, and I don't know. Dolores is gonna have. I think she's gonna have She's gonna have an argument with Hale next episode. That'd be like my prediction. There'll be some type of drama that comes up between them because it's going a little too smoothly.
Where exactly what was the last scene with Dolores that we saw?
Is
Her about to kiss Liam.
no,
or suck his blood.
It's like Caleb throws Liam against the wall and Liam's like, I'll give you money, and Caleb's like, I have all your money, and then he goes, I'm with her, and then Dolores walks up and says, and just stares at Liam. So.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Hale with Man in Black making plans. Maeve's already in her darkest before the dawn moment, meaning she's already tried, and she's somewhat failed, but she will come back because this is her first taste of the real world. So like she will adjust. Everybody's going to be adjusting, and they're going to be setting up for what they're going to be doing. You know what I mean? Like everybody is going to make their motives clear, and they're going to go at it, and they will fail in their attempts. Like I said, and something will halt them, or we'll have our classic Westworld turn. So this is going to be an episode of plotting, planning, and revelations within, I think, Serac, because Serac is going to have to be more open, I think, in this episode because of what happened with Abe. I think that he's, have to a little bit more to get. And I think that, now, like, shit's hitting the fan. Caleb is finally getting in as well. He's seeing what he's getting into, right? Because it's not like Dolores is giving him all the information. He's finding the shit out on the go. Which is problematic because that leaves it open, and I think Johnny was right that we're going to get the backstory why he will have a problem with some of these actions.
How vulnerable was Caleb when he met Dolores too? So vulnerable. Once he gets his mental feet under him as well, which I don't know, it might even get worse next episode because I just thought about it. Thank you, Peter, for reminding me about all the genre they'll be probably taking next episode, that crazy ass drug that possibly the Man in Black is on. He could also just have had a psychotic break, honestly.
Yeah.
Either way, I think it's going to be cool in that regard. Yeah, it's interesting to see where Caleb's head's at, because right now, just like everyone, when you're in a new situation, you're just kind of going with the flow, still trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And it takes a little bit for the reality of what's happening to set in. So I think we're going to see that with Caleb, for sure. And we'll see why he has such a big problem with it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see some emotional distress there, and we'll see some flaws in his, because he's pretty upstanding as well, right? Caleb has very little dirt on him, so he's got to get his hands a little dirty. So we'll see what he was doing in Russia.
We'll see.
Go kill Nathan, Caleb. That's how you prove to me that you're.
I said a little dirty. A little dirty. Yeah.
I wonder if.
I guess I'll kill a baby.
I wonder if all of the things that we've seen in the dates or the date announcement trailer will come true, almost, or some of it, like the mention of the president being impeached and so on and so forth, because they are going to talk about the Russian Civil War in some aspects, and also we'll see what's his name, they'll show up, Francis show up in physical form again at some point. But this episode was good. That's my thing is, next week's all about the drug use next week, especially with Caleb. Caleb's gonna probably dabble in some drugs to deal with the shit that he's have to deal with. Now that we're wrapping up,
sorry, Mr. White.
Mr. White. what you have going on for the next week or so, gentlemen?
Well, I'll just go ahead and say it. Next week or so, my video should be out tomorrow, barring internet issues, but it's getting there and about ready to go. I'll be working on it right after this, so you'll want to go check that out. And this weekend we'll be having a Ragnarok, the last one or part one. We'll see where I get to, but you will be seeing a Ragnarok video this weekend. Of course, I'm on with Mackenzie and Justin every week, and I'd just like to thank you, Mackenzie, for having me on, and thank you so much, chat. Y'all were awesome. Fantastic thoughts and questions in there today. I appreciate y'all. And you too, Justin. I love you, Jackie.
I love you too, Jack. Yeah, if you guys think you can put that, Theo puts that together. Yeah, it's just as lame as you think. So, thank you so much, Mackenzie, and sorry, I'm getting my tech issues with this new computer that I financed to get going. Again, looking at you. I stepped on Alexa this morning on the plug, and she's on, and it went straight into my foot, both prongs, and I thought I was going to achieve the singularity. No. But it was the most primitive way to merge myself with artificial intelligence. I thought it would work. I thought I could power her on and all that. No, it just hurt like a bitch because I've got all these happening around me. It looks like a fucking circus from here. But no, thank you so much. Obviously, we'll have to see if we can sneak back on before the dust settles for maybe just some final commentary for the finale, because you did such a good job last week, and I feel that we, you always give us a good chance to do our free form stuff here. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? So I want to pay it forward. I look forward to the videos. I got my video that's coming out, and it's going to deal with a lot of, as always, a more philosophical approach to it and meta. So I'm hoping that it's going to be a fun video, and it's going to be something that it's going to at least make you think. So if you'll just be thinking, hey, that motherfucker's an idiot.
Well,
I still did my job. I still win.
Yeah, if it creates one thought, then it's important. I'm looking forward to those videos when they will come out. Yes. So for next,
unless that thought is to murder Nathan, just gotta throw that out.
Yeah, let's not murder the small child. We don't need another child death in this show. Thank you very much. But yeah, so next week we'll be back for the episode is called Genre. Good job, HBO, with picking that title. And
it might be the weakest one so far. It is weird.
Yeah.
They're lucky it's got drugs in it. You gotta take that genre to get down. Sometimes you gotta get down to get up.
Exactly. Gotta pick a slow episode. But yeah, we'll be back with Genre. I will be.
Oh, this has been long.
Yeah. I will be reacting.
Breathing in the mic. Sorry.
I will be reacting to that episode. That should be up the Monday, if not Tuesday next week. Sorting out my issues with that. I'm getting better. It's just sorting that out a little bit. But yeah, also thank you to the patrons of the channel. They do so much for me, and they're so awesome to have the behind the scenes support on the channel. So with that, we will see you all next week for that, and go over to Justin's channel on Sunday, because AU will be also on that channel for that. So we'll see you next week.